It's an older place that's been there since the 70s, and it's been family owned and operated. And the current owner has been operating it, and she's ready to get out. And I think you've talked to Raymond, and he said she is ready to make a lease, maybe.
The operator is also the landlord?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So
she's been
Raymond is her agent.
Her agent, correct.
She wants to sell the building and the business for $270,000. It's clever that it's $269,900. They've completely fooled us. And
right.
I spoke to her when?
Well, I spoke to her to get, and I found her phone number there at the laundromat. And then you talked to Raymond, and he said he would get with her and try to find out if she wanted to do a lease. Her interest at that time was only to sell the business and the laundromat at the same time.
All right. And so the refresher is that on 3 days ago, he sent me a text. Here we go. This is what I need to see. Hey, Danny, this is Raymond, Mineral Wells. The owner, which, again, it's the landlord, took time to consider and potentially leasing. We discussed, and I think we can make a deal.
Yeah, and I think you were out of town. That was on Tuesday. Or anyway,
all right, dude, let's call this guy up.
All right, let's do it.
Take good notes. Here we go. Stand by.
Okay.
Hey, this is
Raymond, Danny, the laundry guy. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Danny, I'm doing good. How are you?
Never felt better, never had more. I got your text, so the dam has burst. Little refresher here. All we want to do is sign a lease. We're not purchasing properties currently, so I can't help out your owner/landlord there. But, you know, she'll collect $300,000. It's just going to take 15 years to get there.
Right. And so, you know, we had a conversation about it, and that, you know, I think we would be, you know, she would be open to, you know, to do it under the right terms. So I guess, do you guys have in mind already kind of where you would need to be and any kind of conditions that you'd want?
Absolutely, Ray. I've been doing this for a long time. I do. But it needs to start with one thing, the lease rate, which, as you know, I mean, I don't play games other than in love, and I've been married for 22 years, so there's no more of that anymore. At the end of the day, we need to know what that lease rate is, and we need the best lease rate we can get. And the big difference with us, I'll happily talk to you about it. I'll talk to the landlord about it. We've got debt service on equipment. You know, we don't intend to run the place the way it is. It's going to be impossible to earn. We're only after infrastructure, which is already here. And without having to go through that, we're gutting the place. We're ripping up the flooring. We're doing a complete makeover with brand new equipment. All those top loaders are going to go. So again, the difference between us and just about any other business is that debt service. You know, it's going to be 3-4 times the rent. The consumer is slow to come back. Bro, I don't want to come to you in 6 months or 6 days, hat in hand, begging for a rent reduction because I had no idea what I was doing. I know that it does take time. We can get to rent abatement, the help that we're going to need from you, all of that. But the first and most important thing is, what's the square footage? What's your asking rate? What's the start on 15 years? Because we're retooling every 7.
Right. Okay. So the square footage on the building is 1,500 square feet. You know, based on both that, you know, it is going to be a long-term lease. I took a look at, you know, we weren't originally had no intention of leasing the property at the beginning, but you know, I took a look at some of the lease comps, and you know, I think $11 a square foot annualized. seemed pretty fair for this one.
Are we talking gross or triple net?
Well, I mean, that can be up for discussion. I mean, this is not, hammered in, terms from the seller yet, but obviously, triple net would be a lot more attractive. So
for you, Ray, look, I get it, dude. She wanted to run a successful laundromat and rake in the cash. It doesn't work that way, and I don't know if she was sold a bill of goods, if she bought the laundromat or just the building, whatever. We're going past that. The truth is, if she wanted to invest in washers and dryers and advertising and put an Alexa system in and beat back the homeless and the knuckleheads that try to come into the laundromat all hours and make your life a living hell, she could do that. I'd help her do it. But why? Collect a rent check. 1,500 square feet is very small. Again, I know what it takes to be successful, and it's not glamour. It's not glitz. We're not going to have a celebrity red carpet on every Friday. It's a laundromat.
Right.
Equipment is king. Is it swamp cooled or air conditioned? Do you know?
It is. There's a window unit in there, but there's no, central.
So be prepared. Look, dude, I'm a straight shooter. Does she have any money to spend on the building? Is she going to put 5 tons of AC on the roof?
Right. No.
Okay. So that's something for us to consider. Your ask is $11. If that's, I would do $10 gross, and that's what I'm going to write the LOI for. Why? Because she doesn't have money to spend, and that's okay. And I don't mean she's poor. I mean she doesn't want to spend money on this property. Would you send your wife, much less your worst enemy, into a laundromat that had a window unit in the middle of the summer here in Texas? God, no. I mean, dude, you're laughing at all the right jokes, but it's not funny. It's 2022, for God's sake, almost 2023. And some folks swamp cool the stores, and that's even worse. You're ready to kill yourself. You could chain people in there and force them to go in there and do laundry, and it'd probably be cruel and unusual punishment. So this is a different road for us to hoe. This morning I made a call, and I speak to a landlord that has a Target center and 3 million other square feet. You know who I'm talking about. And they want to upgrade a laundromat. They write me a check for $74,000 and say, just do it. We're at $12 a square foot there. It makes sense. They're going to get their money back in the form of future rent. And this is something that we have to consider. It's different. When we square up on this lease and we sign it, she's going to get that check. So she steps away from the business operations. For me, that's a win right there. Hey, not only are you going to get a guarantee, okay, I'm not going to say guaranteed. That'd make me a liar. Not only are you going to get a rent check, we're pretty good at this, but also you're not spending the time any longer. You're not sweeping the floors. Does she know whether or not she should be 24/7? I do. Whether or not to put an ATM in a laundromat? I do. Should you have soda and snack and run them again, I could go into the everything. I can't help but blather on the way that all this works. I sent you an email, right?
No, I don't believe so.
I have your email address. What I'm going to do, give us a day to put together a letter of intent.
Okay.
If we can do this at $10 gross on 15 years, we're getting no help from the landlord. Okay, we're going to have to look and see if that makes sense. Do you know what type of rent abatement we can ask for and get on 15 years? We need tons of runway because, dude, you know how it is. When I order this equipment and I pay for it, it's not going to be here for 18 months.
Right. Okay. And so, I mean, that's something I'll have to, I'll obviously have to discuss with the seller, but, I think that can be reasonable as far as, you at least having the time to get the equipment up and running.
Hell, we can, something I've done recently, we normally ask for 12 months on a 15-year lease, and we get it. Recently, that's not even enough for us because I don't want to sit on my hands. It's a lovely feeling to take the keys to this location, sign the lease, and walk in and sweep the floors and breathe the clean air of no rent. But when that 30 days turns to 60, turns to 90, turns to 180. Then you're in 6 months and you can't get equipment in. It's not doing us any good. There's no soft opening for laundromats. No one cares. What they want is a big sign that says new equipment, not better management. They don't care. It's a laundry consumer. And you probably hear me talking about that consumer. That's all that matters. Who sells billions of hamburgers? Well, every one of them is nasty, but they still do it. It's the toys for the kids. They see the golden arches. I could go on and on. I love business. I love entertainment. Ray Kroc was a genius, but he was a real estate guy. We intend to make the money 25 cents at a time. We'll put the LOI together. What I'll do, I can ask for X number of months after opening, after retooling. And that's because we are not McDonald's. We're not going to have people lined up around the corner to get into this store the day we open. We need to drag them kicking and screaming from their current centers. They're already doing laundry somewhere else.
Right.
Long term, that's, I think, is the nature of this discussion. We'll fire you off a letter of intent. Don't be shy. If something in there just gobsmacks you and you think, I'm not doing this, call us. We'll talk about it.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good, Danny. I appreciate you calling. I'll talk with the seller as far as the...
Stop saying seller. We're not buying anything.
Sorry.
I know. It's force of habit.
Yeah.
The landlord. Ray, I've got your number. You've got mine. This is my cell. My partner will be CC'd, Mr. Barrows. And this is good. Good start. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Thanks,
sounds
buddy.
good. Bye.
All right, Steve, I always know what I think, and we had a good discussion, and I see you banging away on the notes there. What do you think?
Well, I kind of had it figured out that she may not have any money to.
And that's
do the
okay.
upgrade or whatever.
Look, dude, I don't beat around the bush. I don't see any need to have corporate speak when I make these calls. I don't see any need to ask, well, does she have any tenant improvement money for us, Ray? Guy like that. I mean, look, he's an educated realtor. He knows his stuff. He's sort of stuck in his ways. And look, this is the process. This is a $270,000 laundromat that you just got for free. Not only that, but $1 per square foot is 12. It's the same thing. And we're going to offer 80 cents.
Okay.
He really didn't understand a lot of the nuances of commercial leases, and that's okay. I'll happily educate. 80 cents.
Yeah, I wondered how new he was or how much experience Raymond had. I wasn't sure.
Well, I don't like to run roughshod over anyone, and that's the thing. I'll happily help you along, and I mean it. I'll happily talk to her about how to run the place better, but she doesn't want to do that. It's the whole, woe is me, I bought this laundry, now I'm going to sell the place. She probably spent $250,000 on the building and the laundromat, and she's not going to be able to sell it. She's tried and tried and tried. And if she did sell it and took $50,000 down, 6 months later, they'd fall apart. I've seen that. Some landlords enjoy that. They'll take 50 grand from you, 50 grand from the next guy. They'll keep pocketing that non-refundable deposit. But what a rigmarole. What a mess. Fighting with people to try to keep their money. No, thank you. Have you done a letter of intent?
I have not.
No. So I'm going to send you my LOI.
Okay.
I'm doing one of these a day, bro. So it's streamlined. I'm going to send you instructions in a separate email, the letter of intent. You're going to go through it, make it your own. And I mean from top to bottom. And the reason I say give us a day, something like this is very important. You know that term paper is one thing. A pop quiz is another. This is not exactly your doctorate thesis, but it's important. So treat it as such. You're not going to send it. You're not going to be quizzed on it. You're going to fill it all out, plug in $10 per square foot. I almost feel bad, but look, at $11 plus triple nets, you're going to be at what is commensurate rent for a building like this. We're not paying that. It's all simple stuff. All right, man, I'm firing you off that email right now. Welcome aboard. Next steps are happening. Now, dude, don't lose any sleep. This doesn't mean you have a lease. This doesn't mean you're going to go get equipment tomorrow. That will happen as it happens. Deep breaths. Woosah.
So what about the improvements? We just
She doesn't have any money.
I know she doesn't. So I guess I'll wait and see what the LOI approval process is. And
what you can do with
start
this,
working on that.
okay? Look, I've never asked you what money that you have, what you have socked away, and I'm not asking now. I don't do that. It's your business. What I can say is that you can work an entire lifetime at a job and end up looking at your assets and your net worth, whatever that means, and say, I really don't have anything. Or you can start owning businesses by the skin of your teeth and change everything. This is a cash business. You can take the keys on that abatement period and start earning. The difference is you know that you need to order equipment here. And far, far, far too many folks don't understand how all of this works. It's paperwork. No one's asking you to dig a ditch. The sweat equity here will be you sweating bullets because you've got to put pen to paper. There's a lot to come. I'm not going anywhere. Putting contract attendants in the store will give you a leg up. Right now, it's a ghost town. There's nobody in there. You're going to put $20 in a change machine in the wall when there's not a human person in there? God, no. So she ends up pulling a bunch of dollar bills out of that change machine. Ancillary equipment, folding tables, better and bigger change machine. All of that goes into the note. All of it goes into the loan. For the price of a decent SUV, you're retooling the store and you're making money.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You knew this was going to happen. Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Emails. We're going to the mattresses. I'll send you the LOI.
Okay.
I don't have much time for fear, and I don't hear you being scared, but, fearful questions need to be answered, of course, and answered in toto. This landlord doesn't have any money. And so what we do is we cut that lease rate way back, and you can retool half of the store at a time, get it done properly. One laundromat, it's not what you want. You want 3 or 4 of these stores in the next year.
Yeah, I do have one more call. I don't know if you have time for it today.
I do, of course. I get excited. LOI is going out. Why ruin it with leaving a message?
The next one is a guy that I didn't have a proper phone number. I had just the one that's on the building, and no one seems to answer that phone, so I got a better phone number, and actually I did talk to him. You said something about calling and tell me you want to put a barbecue business in the parking lot. But anyway, I didn't say those things, but I did find out he was the one to talk to. He said they don't.
You called up and you slammed your fists on your desk and you told them they better give up the ghost and tell you who's who. The point being, you got the right contact phone number for who? The landlord himself or his agent?
This is, I believe, the owner of the whole complex. I think the
landlord.
guy that built the complex.
The word owner sticks in my craw because it's thoroughly confusing. I'm an owner. I've got a pen on my desk. I own that pen. So landlords, agents, realtors, all that, anybody who handles the lease and sits on the other side of the lease negotiating table, we call those landlords. So this is the dude that owns the building in your estimation.
Yes, he is. And he did tell me that he doesn't have any open spaces to rent out or whatever. So I didn't tell him what business we were doing or anything. I just made sure I had the correct number. Okay.
That's all we need. I don't want you to muck it up, but you looked at LoopNet and it says $12 is average plus triple nets in the area, correct?
Well, that's what it said for this shopping center.
Okay. LoopNet doesn't know nothing. All right, we're calling Darryl. Yeah. Let's see if we can get him to answer. Here we go. Stand by.
Hello?
Darryl?
Yes.
Hey, Darryl, my name is Danny. I'm calling on some commercial space here in Grapevine. I want to see if I could talk lease terms with you.
You can. Are you an existing tenant, or are you looking for space?
No, I'm looking. I'm actually looking at a very specific spot. Is this your building or you work for the landlord?
Both.
Both. Oh, okay, good. Darryl, this is Northwest Highway, so there's a laundromat there, if that makes sense. That's the building.
Yeah, it's my laundromat.
You own and operate the laundry and you own the building.
I got my hands in a little bit of everything.
Oh, good. Good for you. So, Darryl, this could be a real quick conversation, or maybe we end up exchanging checks for the next 15 years or so. That's what I do, Darryl, laundries. And I've been in Coin Laundries for 16 years in 3 states. My partner and I walk through the existing stores, reach out to you, i.e. the landlord, and I'm interested in signing a lease. And look, you know, I'm not here to hurt anyone's feelings, Darryl. It can use some improvement, not just paint on the walls and new tile, not that, but equipment. You know that. And I think you probably do.
Yeah. I do.
Again, I'm not going to beat you up. You know, there's some big holes where some of the top loaders used to be, and there's kind of room for a kid, God forbid. And I'm just saying, when I walk through and scout these stores, I don't know who Darryl is. I don't know who the entity is that owns, operates, the landlord, but I see little things and I make note of it and I say, wow, that's really a hazard. God forbid a kid gets in there and you know, you've got water and 220 electricity all in one place. You know, kids, they like to play hide and seek and do crazy stuff. Just different, different mentality. When I pull equipment, I build boxes. I make sure they're fairly bulletproof so nobody can get back in there. But that said, your equipment looks to be 35 years old if it's a day. And I don't know, it's your business. If you want to talk terms and let us retool it, maybe it's better to collect a rent check. That question I put to you.
Yeah, see, I would assume when I do decide to shut it down, it probably won't go back as a laundry because the rent base is so high.
Makes sense.
But I don't know. You tell me.
No, I love that you said that. I love that you said that because you're an intelligent guy. Bro, I just made a call and I seal a deal for, it's not done yet, but I seal a deal right in town for $10 gross. And this, again, an existing laundry with all the infrastructure. Darryl, I think you know the only reason I'm calling you.
There's only 2 other ones in Grapevine, so I would know it's probably out there on Mustang Drive.
Well,
is it the one behind the water tower right there?
It's not that I can't say or wouldn't say. It doesn't really matter. There's no deal done.
No, but I was just curious if it was the one where the Grapevine's fixing to put a high-rise parking lot at.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
So
laundromats
jump in there and buy that.
Laundromats do tend to go away because, like you said, the rent will bear what the market will bear. And obviously, dude, you're running the place. You know that it's nice to collect cash. It's different than any other type of business. And I'm not assuming that it's because your wife doesn't know, but for some guys, that's the thing. And at the end of the day, this can be a good business. We do half of our business on Sunday. You know that. You run the store.
Oh, yeah.
And we play catch up the rest of the week. What I'm looking at here, depending on square footage, I'll spend $150 a square foot on equipment. That's all it is. That's all the consumer wants.
Oh, well, I would assume more than that.
Well,
anyway, let me get your name while we're still talking in case I lose you because I'm going under bridges.
Danny.
What's your name?
Danny D'Angelo, and this is my cell phone.
I talked to you before?
Never. Your phone isn't even in my phone. Otherwise, I would have saved it. At the end of the day, I mean, I own a lot of stores in 3 states, so sometimes my name gets out there and sounds familiar. But this is something to consider, something to think about. Like I say, that's the rent that a laundry can bear. And the big difference is it's the equipment cost, and we're also 12, 18 months out on getting the equipment in now. If you know distributors like I do, they'd rather give equipment to brand new operators and make them happy. They make me wait.
That's correct. Of course. They got to get the other one sunk. I understand. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll think about it. And if I decide one way or the other, I'll just give you a call.
I appreciate that. It's a rent check, and that's what I do. And I'll text you my full contact as well.
Okay. Well, that's
Thanks
fine.
for the time.
All right. Bye now.
So here's the stark contrast, right? We made 2 telephone calls. This laundromat is horrible. It's disgusting. The equipment is 40 years old if it's a day, and they've got the ferns in there. You know, he's a big time landlord, and the single stack tumblers. I mean, it's just you can't even get parts for these machines anymore. And I think the 3rd or 4th photo, you've actually got the man himself there in the picture. He's got the machine pulled apart.
I know.
Doing the
And,
work.
you know, but that was a guy next to him actually doing some drying. I never saw anyone that looked like they owned the place or was there
Bro,
working on it.
there's
But
a step stool. The front of the dryer is completely pulled apart, and there's no one to be seen. What kind of a ridiculous hazard is that alone? It's horrible.
That was horrible.
You know, you walk in a hospital and they've got little standee signs that are orange that say mopping being done, so that if someone slips and falls, perhaps they can get away with it. But my goodness, this place is scary, and he knows it. But listen, at the end of the day, you've got an LOI to send out, and in this particular place, the guy's not ready, and he said something very telling. What was the gist of the call? Put it in one sentence. What does he really want to do?
He wants to, well, I forgot the term you used, but turn it into something besides a laundromat.
He wants to collect commensurate rent. That's all.
Yeah.
When he blows up the laundry and he gets rid of it, he isn't thinking of retooling at all. He's willing to do $12 a square foot here. I'm sure of it. But I've never been the guy to press people or talk them into something. The minute I start switching gears and saying, "Come on, let us rent this place," then the rent goes up. No reason for that. You also hear how curious he was where the other store is. We called none of your business, dude.
I know, and there are a couple within a mile or 2 from him. One of them is just an absolute dump, and another one says coming soon, and it looks like it's going to be a dump too.
Coming soon, it's probably a banner that they put up because they took over the laundry, bought the laundry, and now they're going to try, the key word try, to operate the laundry. You've got your work cut out for you. The LOI is in your inbox here in 2 minutes, Steve. Cheers.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Appreciate your help.
Don't thank me yet. Haven't done the real work. Bye.
All right, we're getting close.
The next is the LOI goes out. We talk. They send a lease. They try to get a deposit from you. You won't be paying that. This is a zero-sum game. This is how free laundromat works. $270K, zero. Bye.
All right, bye.
That's it. I hope you're new. My channel is not exploding. I never wanted it to. My channel is boring unless you're really into coin laundries and you really want to own 1, 2, 7, 40. And this is where it starts, the education. Why is it that people don't know a thing about laundromats? Because as investors, we've lived a certain life. When you're 51 years old, my age, and you've invested a bunch of things, laundromats typically aren't one of them. I don't know anything about them. I've never stepped foot in a laundromat in my adult life. In my case, I did. I made the mistake. I bought a laundromat for $250,000, not knowing anything, much like this young lady in the first call. She's got choices. Turn around and try to sell her failure for more than she paid. She did that. It didn't work. Let's talk about you, why you're here. You're here because you're intrigued in owning the #1 cash absentee small business in the world. That's my statistic. There's no absentee to it. You're going to work, but work smart. Why is it free laundromat? Because you won't be paying for the store, the rights, the non-existent goodwill, the equipment. They call that an asset sale, buying someone's old equipment. These 2 calls are a dichotomy of how this works in your town, in New York, LA, and everywhere in between. What's my next step, Danny? Like and subscribe. That's important. Makes me feel great when I see you've subscribed. But more importantly, get the course. My course is cheap. The price you pay for it is a joke compared to what you're going to learn. Because of me, because of my personality, I never, ever wanted anyone to say, this is all bollocks. This equipment is crap. This information is no good. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. I don't want to sell 1 million courses and get half the money returned. No, I want every single one, and I have. I've succeeded. 100% guaranteed. This is the sales portion, right? Click off. If you're here because you want a laundromat, be impressed, know what to do and how to do it next. This is the end of that process. Click the thing, get the stuff. I got more landlords to call. Anybody who commented here, hit me in the comments section. I don't need to edit these videos. This is me, real, raw. Danny D, out.